My BF wanted a PS5, so I gave him a telescope. His rage backfired spectacularly. 6 months later, our lives changed unexpectedly. Nancy, 24F, and Terry, 27M, were together for 3 years. Last week was his birthday. I met Terry at a friend's cookout. Actually, Terry charmed the gathering with his own jokes and stories that made everyone laugh. I originally liked him because of his warm attitude and engaging smile. We chatted for hours that day about favorite books and future goals. I found Terry was a serious gamer after we started dating. He played video games from childhood. Nintendo 64 was his first. Gaming was more than a hobby for him. It was a chance to unwind after a long day at work or hang out with friends online. I never played much. I tried several times but felt weird with the controller. I had little dexterity to keep up with the fast-paced action on screen. First, Terry's games didn't annoy me. It was cute that he freaked out when there was a new release or eventually wagered a nagging supervisor. As we moved closer, I felt like his PlayStation competed for attention. Many nights, we watched films together. He was so engrossed in a game that he didn't realize the time. Sometimes I wanted to socialize on weekends, but he was playing a multiplayer game and couldn't sit down. It was a constant source of little conflicts over the years. I used to get annoyed and tell him he cared more about his games than me. He'd argue that I was controlling his spare time. We always worked it out, but it was a sore point in our relationship. Terry first hinted about wanting the PlayStation 5 for his birthday around a month ago. Although he owns a functional PlayStation 4, he kept gushing over its graphics and his desire to play the latest games. He showed me films comparing graphics and loading times, growing more enthused with each display. I admit, every time he mentioned it, my heart sunk. I only believed that a new, more powerful system would imply more video game time. I could imagine spending more lonely evenings on the sofa while Terry got lost in his virtual world. I didn't want to ruin his party, so I nodded and smiled, trying to think of a plan B, another gift, anything. We watched a space documentary 2 weeks before his birthday, one of those days when we really agreed on something to watch. The documentary on extraterrestrial life featured stunning images of distant galaxies and nebulae. Terry was enthralled. He stopped the presentation to search up amazing star and planet details on his phone and tell me, diamonds rain on a planet, or that there is a big space alcohol cloud. He was enthusiastically recounting these things as he normally does when informing me about his gaming accomplishments. I had never seen him so passionate about something other than games. He reminded me of our early dating days, staying up all night, chatting about everything. Our worldly curiosity pushed us closer. We shared, learnt, and wondered together for the first time in a while. It made me think. Give him a great telescope instead of the PS5. It would be a good investment for this new passion, and we may use it often. I'm fine with it costing more than the PS5. Apparently that would be special. Straight 2 weeks. I read extensively about telescope kinds. I needed something appropriate for beginners with as many features as possible for growing, learning, and improving our expertise. To teach others how to stargaze, I took a brief online course. I imagined us on summer evenings on the roof of our building, sharing the telescope and trying to make sense of the universe's vast panoramas. Terry was really excited when I gave him the big wrapped package for his birthday. Shaking. He kept asking, "Is it the PS5? No, the box is too huge. Maybe the PS5 and several games?" He was like a child on Christmas morning, so delighted. After the following hit, his face looked like it had dropped in that split of time when he peeled off the wrapping and saw the telescope. He attempted to hide, but I could tell he was disappointed. His eyes showed disappointment, first of excitement, then of perplexity, followed by a frustrated sound. Thanks, but he turned around and asked if I got him a PS5. I explained why I didn't get him the gift he desired. He was furious and said he was clear about what he wanted, and that I had turned it down, even trying to change his interests and hobbies. I suggested we try something new and fascinating together, which made him even angrier. He said if I had to do something with him, we could play PS5. He then stated that he had been saving for that telescope and will buy it next month. Rest of the day was tense. Terry hardly used the telescope and spent much of his time on his phone, possibly playing PS5 games he couldn't play. He barely mentioned the telescope when asked what he got for Christmas at family dinner. His mother, aware of the subtle clues, looked at me curiously, but I only shook my head. I didn't want to explain that in public. The telescope remains in our living room corner a week later. Terry hasn't mentioned anything and seems to deliberately ignore it. This week he's been off with me, responding me monosyllabically, and playing PS4 longer than usual. Yesterday he was browsing PS5s online, sighing and closing the tab when I saw. I'm devastated, though I was kind and encouraged a new interest. I think I ruined his birthday. My present was kind, but I'm hurt that he doesn't appreciate it. So much time to discover and arrange something I could share with him, without us gazing at different screens. Part of me wants to return the telescope and purchase him the PS5, but that would give in to his sulking. I'm still not certain he'll play more. I'm afraid if I do that now, giving me the cold shoulder creates the precedent to get his way. The night we watched the space documentary was all I could think about. Terry was lively and curious about everything, including the universe. I fell for Terry, who was eager to learn and share. I thought the telescope would highlight that. Was my attempt wrong? Reddit, I'd get my BF a telescope but not a game console? Did I go too far by encouraging him to try new hobbies, or was that the correct step towards sharing ours? How do I resolve this without ignoring my feelings about his gaming habits? Update 1. Thanks for responding. I've read them all, but this topic was eye-opening. I now see that I was the arsehole. I should not have neglected Terry's birthday gift request. After reading your comments, I painfully decided to talk to Terry honestly. It's hard we've been tiptoeing for a week. I was worried about his reaction because we needed to clear the air. First, I apologized for not listening to him and imposing my opinions on his activity. I told him I was concerned about his gaming time, but I realized a birthday gift wouldn't be fair. I told him I felt like we were drifting. He played too much and left me out. Terry was quiet for hours after I talked. It was surprising that he apologized. He admitted it, apologized for sulking, and said he should have handled the disappointment better. He finally said he felt awful for how long he played games but didn't know how to cut back without killing himself. After talking about hobbies and how we could share them, he realized he hadn't been interested in gaming, so he was excited to play PS5 with me. He presumably assumed we could share his favorite hobby. Before she told me how I constantly made her feel like she was rejecting a part of him, I didn't realize what I was doing when I attempted to persuade him to game less. Terry admitted to an interest in the telescope, but added that there was so much one could take and that he didn't know where to start or whom to question. We'll try it this weekend. I volunteered to return the telescope and receive the PS5 during the PS5, surprising Terry. He considered it and wants a PS5, but he won't give up the telescope. It was advised that we keep the telescope and he save for the PS5. This moved me. Not long now. I also considered contributing to the PS5 fund. It wouldn't be all the money, but it would get him there sooner. Terry liked the idea. We made arrangements to balance our time. That was willing to reduce his gaming, especially at home, and I would show greater interest in his games. He would teach me his favorite games, starting with the easier ones I could like. He's joined me in my interests, including telescope use, in exchange. Last night was our first time stargazing using the telescope. We couldn't focus and took 20 minutes to find a single star, making it unpleasant. Once we understood its use, it functioned beautifully. We saw the moon and its craters clearly for the first time. Terry loved it and downloaded an app to assist us recognize what we saw. Terry stated that was a fantastic gift for me as we packed the telescope. I forgot how much fun it is to attempt something new since I wanted a PS5. Though small, that meant everything to me, like we were back on the same team. I learned from this that it's crucial to listen to and respect a partner's interests, which may differ from mine. Changing someone, especially with a gift, never works. Therefore, communication is crucial. Good thing we solved this collectively. We're adapting. Terry's game fills his time again, but I adjust. Both of us were astronomy novices. It feels different. We're getting closer by understanding and engaging with each other's interests. Many thanks to Reddit for your insights. You helped me realize my error and how to fix it. We hope for brighter sky in our relationship and stargazing. Update 2. I'm back after a month to report on how everything went. Terry and I use the telescope often, and it's the most fun hobby. We climb adjacent hills on clear nights. Terry now loves astrophotography. He joined a community for amateur astronomers online to post his fresh images, showing his excitement. We were naive when we went out. Half the night we may just be looking for something fascinating. However, Terry, a technologist, found several great apps to detect celestial objects. He's gleefully pointing out stars and planets like a candy store kid. On that special day, we saw Saturn's rings. Terry shouted, waking up the couple picnicking a few yards away, in excitement. We talked to them and showed them Saturn through our telescope, and enjoyed sharing our new interest with others. Terry bought a PS5 2 weeks ago using money I provided him from his savings and a great online offer. He loved it, and the graphics are great. Ironically, Terry spends equal time gaming and stargazing. He credits the telescope for making him appreciate screen breaks and enjoying the real world. We're even arranging a dark sky reserve camping trip for greater stargazing. Terry has been trying to include me in games. He found 2 co-op games I like better than his, and we play twice a week. It's fun, so I can see why he loves it. Though I didn't become a gamer, I enjoy it more. Last week we laughed so hard at a cooking game that we paused it. We also improved. May. Our time management. We practice device-free dinners by putting devices away and talking. Our communication has improved, and we've had many intriguing chats. We spent nearly an hour discussing alien life last night after dinner. Our pals have joined, which is surprising. We've even had game and gaze nights where we play video games before looking through the telescope. It's another unique opportunity to socialize and share interests. Terry's best friend used to come over for video games, but now he's into stargazing. He contemplated buying a telescope. Watching our social lives evolve beyond games is great. Looking back, I realized my first impulses could ruin our relationship. Thankfully, we used it to grow and learn about each other. Learning to appreciate and care about each other's interests has brought us closer. Still, sometimes I worry he plays too much or gets upset because I'm not as interested as him. However, we communicate better now and are trying to find a compromise. Reddit. Thanks again for your advice. It helped us handle the circumstance and emerge stronger. Update 3 Hi Reddit. I wanted to give you one last update on the telescope vs. PS5 debacle after 6 months. I feel invincible with Terry. Our astronomy passion took off. Recently we improved our telescope and joined a local astronomy club. It's great to meet new people and learn about space during their monthly star parties, so we aim to attend as many as possible. Terry's astrophotography has improved greatly. His Orion Nebula photo appeared in a magazine. Today, gaming fits well into our life. Terry still enjoys his PS5, but not as much. A weekly co-op game night is our norm. Puzzle and strategy games are my current favorites, so we've started playing those. This balance benefits our interests and each person individually by improving communication, leisure time, and support. She even liked my gardening, so I built a balcony greenhouse. We finally took this long-planned camping trip to a dark sky reserve last month. The experience was breathtaking. We explored nature by hiking and stargazing. Terry captured some stunning Milky Way photos. Our remoteness from the birthday debacle became apparent on this excursion. Terry went to me one night after a long night of stargazing by the campfire and said, I'm glad you got me that telescope. We might not have discovered this new planet if you had given me the PS5. That brief moment meant everything to me. Not everything is perfect. We still disagree, and I sometimes think Terry plays too much video games. We can now resolve differences together. Last time we had a quarrel where Terry spent a full Saturday behind the screen, and we had planned to visit a local science museum. Terry informed me he'd lost track of time after talking things out. Sometimes I feel ignored when he games for a long time. We developed a shared calendar for our goals and activities, so we're often in sync. I'm shocked at how much good transpired from what may have ended a relationship. Good hindsight. It taught us respect, communication, and the importance of supporting others' passions. Despite our differences, we've learned to accept others' interests. Terry's parents visited last weekend, and his mum informed me he's been cheerful lately. She thinks he hasn't been this cheery since childhood. It reminded me of our progress. I recommend acting like everyone else in a comparable situation. Respect your partners and your interests and compromise. You never know where you'll encounter a shared interest. It's okay to have various hobbies. Finding a mutually beneficial balance is crucial. Terry and I look forward to more starry evenings, gaming, and all in between. We're going to an Arizona observatory next month. Terry is considering putting his astrophotography in a contest. Who knows where this trip will lead? Reddit, I appreciate your assistance and advice. I'm grateful to this community for helping us get out of this problem. Bring on clear skies and new adventures.